Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, thank you all for your interest in serving our country and for your families who will also serve along with you as you work on their behalf. And Mr. Black, you should tell Charlotte's dad that being a small town mayor is probably the toughest job in politics. I think Senator Shaheen would agree, having been a governor, that it's tougher than being a senator or a governor because your neighbors are not shy about sharing with you how you're damaging their quality of life by the decisions you make and so forth. So it's a tough job, so tell him we appreciate his service there. Last month, I hosted a bipartisan tabletop exercise with Senator Kuhn simulating a communist Chinese energy quarantine of Taiwan. And that exercise confirmed one of Taiwan's biggest vulnerabilities, which is, in such a conflict scenario, which is energy insecurity. But it's not just about Taiwan. This is something that applies to all of our allies in the region who are nearly just as vulnerable to relying heavily on seaborne energy imports in such a crisis. Beijing could leverage that dependence to be able to drive a wedge between us and our allies if that were to come to pass. Meanwhile, Communist China is rapidly growing its own energy independence. 2024, it had the largest expansion of coal power in its history. It's also adding on solar, wind, and nuclear, all the while building a naval capacity to be able to interdict and threaten critical energy supply lines. The most immediate answer to this problem is for us to increase our exports of LNG. We are the world's top exporter with clean, reliable gas that's already helping our allies replace coal and cut emissions, harden their energy resilience. However, we've seen firsthand Washington's regulatory paralysis, especially during the Biden administration with his pause on LNG, and what that can do to erode confidence in the United States as a dependable partner. Mr. Helberg, as Undersecretary for Energy and Environment, what will you do to ensure that the U.S. is a strategically reliable partner when it comes to energy for our Indo-Pacific allies?
Senator, thank you for the question, and thank you for taking the time to meet with me in the Senate. Energy will be a critical part of the strategy to secure our supply chains. The United States is very fortunate to actually be a net exporter of energy. The United States currently is the largest exporter of crude oil. It is the largest exporter of natural gas in the world. A number of our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific are net importers. India obviously has immense energy needs and is a net importer of energy. Japan is a net importer of energy and has substantial energy needs. The energy needs of these countries is projected to go up substantially as a lot of these countries look to ramp up their activities in cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, which, as you know, require large computing clusters, which are very energy intensive. And therefore, I think there is a substantial opportunity for the United States to increase energy exports to a lot of these partners. I think doing this would make the world substantially safer because it would help these countries, particularly India, move away from its energy imports from Russia, which has been the main engine of financing for its war in Eastern Europe. And ultimately, I believe the president's executive order on nuclear energy will allow substantially increasing our domestic electricity generation from nuclear energy, which currently stands at 20%. Bringing that number up will allow freeing excess capacity for natural gas, which we can use to export to allies around the world.
Given the threat of the Communist China's imposition of a blockade or energy embargo, what steps will your Bureau take to ensure Taiwan's energy lifeline remains open during a crisis?
Senator, the issues surrounding the physical security and integrity of freedom of navigation, I believe it will be primarily a military issue. Obviously, which will, if confirmed, be outside of my purview. Obviously, from an economic policy standpoint, China has a very extensive illicit maritime fishing flotilla that it operates across the Pacific, which is obviously believed to be convertible for military means in a time of war. The United States is based on what I understand, tracking that issue very closely. Ultimately, the economic integration between Taiwan and the United States will be a substantial factor in security-related decisions on whether and how to support Taiwan in the event of a conflict. Taiwan is already the 10th largest trading partner of the United States. TSMC has committed to investing $100 billion in Arizona in advanced semiconductor manufacturing. So I believe bringing the two countries closer together will be key in driving a lot of the security considerations around freedom of navigation around the Taiwan Strait.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Heidelberg, I think that one of the things, the opportunities you'll have is looking at Taiwan's current energy situation. They've got a nuclear power plant that they're thinking about shutting down. That'd be an opportunity for us to help them keep that open. So as you talk about nuclear, also being able to have more energy stored on site would be another thing that would help them mitigate an energy quarantine. So I think those are some of the things you can take a look at. They're not directly military related, but maybe within your purview.